أنت عليهم بوكيل. الله يتوفى الأنفس حين موتها والتي لم تمت في منامها فيمسك التي قضى عليها الموت ويرسل الأخرى إلى أجل مسمى إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. أم اتخذوا من دون الله شفعاء قل أولو كانوا لا يملكون شيئا ولا يعقلون قل لله الشفاعة جميعا له ملك السماوات والأرض ثم إليه ترجعون. وإذا ذكر الله وحده اشمأزت قلوب الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة وإذا ذكر الذين من دونه إذا هم يستبشرون. قل اللهم فاطر السماوات والأرض عالم الغيب والشهادة أنت تحكم بين عبادك فيما كانوا فيه يختلفون. ولو أن
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we'll be starting in just a minute as soon as we get the video access allowed, inshallah. Sorry, we're just having some technical difficulties. Give me a second, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can everyone see me here, inshallah? Hopefully. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So, alhamdulillah, welcome to our first virtual Revelation Revealed graduation ceremony. It's not our first graduation ceremony, but it is our first virtual ceremony. So consequently, unfortunately, we will be having some technical difficulties that hopefully we can work through quickly. But essentially, what I would like to do is thank you all, mashallah, for taking the time with your friends and families and joining us this evening, inshallah ta'ala. This evening is really a celebration for all of you. The hard work and the effort and the energy that you put in to learn this noble language, the language of the Quran, the language of the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the language of our rich Islamic heritage and tradition. This is your beginning, the beginning of your journey in attempting to connect with Allah's Quran, Allah's word, with Allah's book, connect with the sayings and statements of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to connect with Islamic heritage and tradition. And we pray that this was a fruitful journey for you. Ultimately, this is a journey that, this is just the beginning for all of us. And we will always continue to be students every step of the way, always learning more. And the more that you learn the Arabic language, the more you appreciate and love it, and the more you appreciate and love the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we pray and hope that this gave you some incentive to continue your journey, to continue your studies, and to continue your connection with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially as we come upon the month of Ramadan. If Allah gives us life, may Allah ta'ala allow us to reach the month of Ramadan and to fulfill the obligations and the blessings of Ramadan coming up. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you all healthy and well and protect you and your families and allow you to have a fruitful and blessed Ramadan. Hopefully a Ramadan that is very special and dear to you, because you are now hopefully having a little bit of a taste of the sweetness of the Quran, as you've been able to now appreciate and understand some of the vocabulary of the Quran, the usage of the verbs and the usage of the nahu and the grammar, that will allow you hopefully to connect with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make this Ramadan that much more special. So obviously, we're in very crazy times by Allah's qadr. And despite that, you continued to come forward as students. You continue to come through our virtual. You were patient with us as we tried to figure out our virtual studies. And you all came. I know, like Bilal Bhai, for example, you would come straight from work, riding in the train, going home, fasting, taking his iftar and coming to class and opening his fast in class. And I know that he's just a demonstration of the sacrifices that many of you were going through. Omer Mujahid. MashaAllah, we have an entire family, entire clan that took this class, and they're all kind of demonstrated to us, MashaAllah, the sacrifice and effort that is truly representative of the Mujahid family. May Allah preserve them and all their loved ones. Omer would be studying for final exams or studying for exams for high school, and then he would come to our class and then go back and study more afterwards. In high school, I think the only thing I was doing in high school was playing video games. All right, and I still play video games. Actually, not so much. Maybe more now, and while we're in isolation. But this is the reality. At the end of the day, this is the sacrifice that you put in. We pray that we have ikhlas in the sacrifice. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept it from all of us. So without further ado, I would like to pass it on to our fellow faculty member, Sister Maryam Muhammad, who, mashallah, took it upon herself as a volunteer. And we're all volunteers here, alhamdulillah, in Islamic Learning Foundation. She took it upon herself to teach another class for us. And we were very honored to have her as a teacher. And especially as a focus for sisters, mashallah, to give them their safe space that they wanted to learn. So Sister Maryam, inshallah, hopefully if we don't have too much technical difficulties, Sister Maryam, inshallah, wanted to just give some words of reflection, inshallah ta'ala. So without further ado, since I am host now, I will cancel my spotlight and I will now put her. I think you should be able, Sister Maryam, are you able to share your screen?
Yeah, let me try it 1 second. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. Alhamdulillah. All right, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope all of you are doing well. Inshallah, you and your families. I just wanted to take a few minutes and talk about why we're studying Arabic. Obviously, since you guys are here, you already know that. There's just 5 reasons why we're studying Arabic. So I wanted to start with a story from when I was in high school. I was going to an Islamic school in Ohio, and I remember one of my classmates asked my Islamic studies teacher, he asked her, how do we know that Islam is the right religion? And I honestly don't even remember her answer. I just remember thinking to myself, how do I myself know that Islam is the right religion? Like for me, it was obvious, but I just, for probably one of the first times, I asked myself, what is it that makes me have that certainty that Islam is right? And there was like one clear answer for me, and it was the Quran. Even though I didn't know everything about it and I'm still learning about it and everything, I just knew that this was a miracle that we get to hold and recite. I just knew that there's no doubt in this Quran and in its preservation. And so for me, that was the number one answer. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he starts Surah Al-Baqarah in that way. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, that there is no doubt in this book. So if we really, if we need reasons to learn Arabic, this could be like our number one, or like one of the reasons is that there is no doubt in this book. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that. And so we want to learn Arabic to get closer to him. Okay. And then knowing that, and to Allah is the highest example, we want to know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. So we could think of this as getting a letter or getting some kind of message from someone we really, really love, and it being in a different language than perhaps our native language. We would really want to know what that is. We'd probably use like Google Translate or something like that to figure out what someone wrote to us. And to Allah is the highest example. This Quran is in Arabic, and we really want to know what he is saying. And we know that the translation doesn't do it justice. And so that's actually my the third point. And I wanted to talk about a few examples how the translation doesn't do it justice, but I'm sure those of you guys who have taken the class, you already saw that. So for example, Rahman and Rahim, we talked about how there's different types of nouns and things like that, how there's different patterns and those mean different things. So Rahman and Rahim in a typical translation might be translated as like the beneficent, the merciful. But like we could ask ourselves, what does that actually mean? And so Rahman, we know, is the most merciful. It's on the pattern of fa'lan, which shows something that's very, very like extreme or a lot. So if you say someone is ghadban, it's like really, really angry. Atshan is really, really thirsty. Jaw'an is really hungry. So Rahman is really, really, really merciful. And then Rahim shows something that is perpetual, that's continuous. It's on the pattern of fa'id. So it's shows that Allah's mercy continues. It's forever. So that kind of gets lost in translation, just saying the beneficent, the merciful, something like that. It doesn't really give us that meaning. And then another example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word qalb in some places in the Quran, and then fu'ad in others. Both of those things will be translated as heart. But if we look deeper around the ayat where he uses qalb and fu'ad, we notice that he only uses fu'ad when describing the heart of someone who is really, really overwhelmed. So for example, the mother of Musa alayhi salam, when she's about to put her baby in the river, like her heart is described as fu'ad. And then also the heart of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on his night journey. That's also described as fu'ad. So all of that gets lost in translation, and we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose Arabic as the language for the Quran. He mentions that in different places in the Quran. So we want to study that language to get closer to what he is telling us. Okay. And then, yeah, we want to connect with the one who taught us the Quran. In the beginning of Surah Rahman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ar-Rahman, and then Allama al-Quran. He is the one who taught us the Quran. The most merciful is the one who taught us the Quran. And you guys have all probably noticed, the ones who just started taking the revelation revealed. It is difficult, like all the tables and all of that initially. But we should always remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is the most merciful, and he is the ultimate teacher of the Quran. We should never give up. Like the more we walk one step, and he takes 10 steps towards us. So we should just keep going on this journey, inshallah. And then the last reason I had here, you guys have all heard this hadith, خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه, where the Prophet ﷺ said, the best of you are those who learn the Quran and teach it. And so when we're in this journey of learning it, and we're always in this journey of learning it, and then inshallah one day teaching it, we are among the best of people, inshallah, and we ask Allah to make us among that. And so just to recap, started with the reason that the Quran is a miracle that we get to hold, that we get to study and implement in our lives. It's like a letter from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so we really want to know what he's telling us. And we know that the translation is not enough. I just talked about 2 examples, but there are so many examples. And then it's a connection with the one who taught us the Quran, Ar-Rahman, and we want to be among the best of people, inshallah. And I just wanted to end by saying it's been a real honor teaching this class this year. Alhamdulillah, I had some amazing students who really I learned more from, I think, than they learned from me. So Jazakallah khairan for the opportunity.
Jazakallah khairan, Sister Maryam. She is absolutely 100% correct in that our students definitely challenged us and exposed especially myself, exposed my weaknesses in knowledge and understanding, and it's always been a pleasure. Our level 2 students, for example, Sister Aragad, always calls me out whenever she has the opportunity to, just to humble me a little bit. And others have done the same, like Bilal and others, mashallah. So, but it's been a pleasure nonetheless. Moving along with our program, inshallah ta'ala, as I said in the chat, there's some features here. You can click on more, and I believe you should be able to see chat, so you can see different things that we pass along. But inshallah, we have with us Imam Yusuf Rios. Inshallah, I'll introduce him in a minute. But after Imam Yusuf Rios, I would like to open up the forum for the students to share some of their experiences, thoughts, and reflections during class, their anecdotes from class, or experiences that they may have had, having learned the language and such. So we'll open that up, inshallah, before presenting the digital certificates, inshallah, which will be mailed to you. So without further ado, so please hold that off until that time. I'll explain to you the instructions for that at that time. We would love to hear your thoughts and reflections, inshallah. We have with us Imam Yusuf Rios. Imam Yusuf is our resident scholar and religious director at Islamic Learning Foundation. Alhamdulillah, he's been with us for over a year now, just over a year. And during that period, we saw exponential growth in the organization. You know, alhamdulillah, we're very honored and blessed to have Imam Yusuf here as our murabbi and as our teacher. He was studying, and just a brief biography, you can look at more detailed biography of all our instructors on our website. But Imam Yusuf Rios was studying to become a Catholic priest when he converted to Islam. And at that time, he had a thirst for knowledge, as you can imagine. And he studied initially with the Islamic American University in Detroit, Michigan. And then he was later a part of a scholarship program to study in Egypt, where he studied Arabic studies, and he studied Islamic studies for a number of years with some of the most preeminent scholars at Azhar University. His emphasis and focus has been on sort of fiqh and hadith studies. And so we've had the honor and blessing to study with Imam Yusuf over the last year or so. Myself, I had been studying with him prior to that a short while longer. But, you know, without further ado, we'd like to invite Imam Yusuf, inshallah ta'ala, to share some words with us.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sheikh, can you open up your video?
I can't open it up because of it's been disabled.
Okay. Let me see. I said ask to start video. Let me see if I can change the settings real quick. I was wondering why this is. Allow panelists to start video. Okay. Sheikh, you should be able to.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Congratulations to everyone that managed to come to the end of this. Alhamdulillah. I really appreciate the effort, and may Allah reward you for the sacrifice. That's pretty much the way that knowledge works. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. One of the things that we have to understand is, especially when it comes to our sacrifices to study Islam, given our position as Muslims in the world today, a lot of times our study of Islam is going to entail a major sacrifice. And a lot of that comes from the fact that as a community, we're still trying to stabilize ourselves. As you can see in this situation that we're in today, the pandemic, it has disrupted much of the way that the world operates. The Muslim community as well, the Ummah, has been going through so many changes that it really is difficult to see where there's stability in a lot of places in the Muslim world. So in the meantime, we don't see that the process of learning stops. You know, Islam has always enjoined upon us, even in times of conflict, to commit ourselves to knowledge, because seeking knowledge, that is what revives the Ummah. One of the things that pertains to the issue of knowledge is that because in Islam we focus ourselves on the Quran, the foundation of knowledge is the Quran. And so that knowledge of the Quran really requires the Arabic language, and we want to understand properly and understand it well. Sister Maryam talked about the issue of translation, and one of the things that we always have to be clear is that translations of the Quran are never considered the Quran. If we were to go that route, then what we would do is open ourselves up to saying that the Quran has mistakes and discrepancies and deficiencies and so on and so forth. And this is what has happened to the people of the book, because they began to rely on translations and they moved further and further away from the original language of revelation as they had received it. So that's one of the unique aspects of the Ummah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that there is a certain degree of continuity, meaning that the revelation of the Quran as it came, we find that we have that same revelation today as it came, and is accessible. So that's one of the unique points, is that the Arabic language is the oldest living language. There are other languages which are older, but they're dead. They're not in usage. They're not vibrant. They're not functional. And the Arabic language is not a language which is restricted to a body of scholars and priests, meaning that people that commit themselves to the learning of the Arabic language on the foundational level, and they keep growing it, they have the ability to understand it, to access the Quran, and they have the ability to transform their own understanding, meaning that they begin at one level, and then with more and more study, they begin to have more and more understanding. So the Arabic language, is something that is to be studied and pursued just like we study the Quran. Matter of fact, we can't really study the Quran properly without a study of the Arabic language. This is one of the reasons why Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, he had considered the understanding of the Arabic language to be an obligation upon the Muslims, because seeking knowledge of Islam is an obligation, and in order to have foundational knowledge, which is knowledge of the Quran, it requires some study of the Arabic. Some people, they become despondent or they despair at that. They say, well, how can I study the Arabic language? And for those students who have committed themselves to that process, they see that at the beginning when they come into the study of the Arabic language, it may seem difficult, but with time and exposure, it becomes easier. Imam al-Shatibi, rahmatullahi alayhi, who was a great scholar who lived in Granada at the time when Al-Andalus had fallen, and Muslim Spain was a place of high civilization and knowledge. And so he lived right next to Al-Andalus proper, which was Spain. Granada was also considered part of Al-Andalus. One of the things that he says is that our understanding of Islam, the degree of our understanding is equivalent to our understanding of the Arabic language. And that goes back to the Quran itself. That doesn't mean that we can't understand the general meanings of the Quran and take benefit from the Quran and have a foundational practice in the deen. But truly, if we are committing ourselves to the Quran, just like if we were to commit ourselves to any profession, it will need a commitment to the tools, right, that help us to do our job. And so because our task is to try to understand the Quran, the Arabic language becomes, something which we need in that pursuit, right? And so once we begin to taste this reality of the difference between our understanding without Arabic and with Arabic, we become responsible to keep developing ourselves. And just like the Quran is unique in the sense that the Arabic language is a living, continuous language, is one of the living, most used, and is a continuous language that is used by a number of people in the world. We have, and it's the means of preserving the Quran and so on and so forth. We have a responsibility of keeping that alive, that understanding alive. And so part of that responsibility of keeping that understanding of the Quran alive is becoming familiar with the language of the Quran. After all, as Sister Maryam was noted that the Quran was revealed in the Arabic language. And it wasn't revealed in the language, so to speak, of, we just say, the Arabs. Right? The non-Arabs have to become comfortable with the fact that the Arabic language goes even beyond Arabic culture. Revelation transformed Arabic culture. Anybody knows, if they have studied the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the Arabs at that time, they were people that were ignorant of revelation. Revelation came, then transformed that culture. The Arabic language is a means, it's a tool. And that doesn't mean that we can't communicate the deen in our own language. But the foundation of knowledge, it comes back to the text as it is, the Quran as it is, the Sunnah as it is. In other words, we shouldn't change the Arabic language because now we want to understand the Quran and the Sunnah in our own language. We still have to keep a relationship to the original sources. Christianity fell into that problem, that they didn't keep access to the original sources and they highly depended upon translation. And then with time, the people became so distant from the original sources that now to be able to access the Bible as it was is almost impossible, right? The Jewish community, the Bible was translated into Greek, and they had remained distant from the Torah for a long time, and so it was by way of the Arabic language that Hebrew today was revived, but it's not the original language of revelation as it was. The only book that is on the face of the earth that is read as it was read in the past, that is determined to be revelation or claimed even to be revelation, is the Quran. And so the Arabic language is the oldest living language that has practice. In other words, is practiced with continuity. So the language of the Ummah has been the Arabic language, not because of the Arabs, not because of the culture or whatever, but because of the Quran. As a matter of fact, the Arabic language would not have been preserved. It would have gone the route of any other language like Latin or Sanskrit if it was not for the fact of the Quran. The Quran itself, because of the commitment of the Muslims to it, as being revelation, as being the word or the speech of Allah Ta'ala, it developed around it a whole process of understanding it and a process of preserving it. And a lot of that has to do with the preservation of the Arabic language. And so that's one of the reasons why we, even up to this time in Chicago, we have students studying the Arabic language because of the value that it has in Islamic scholarship and in the Muslim community, and as a means to understand. Without the understanding of the Arabic language, the vocabulary of the Quran is inaccessible. There's a big difference between using the word God and using the word Allah. There's a big difference between saying prayer and talking about dua. There's a big difference between saying faith and using the word iman. There's a big difference between saying the hereafter and the akhirah, or talking about this world and using the word dunya. There's meanings in all of those words. And the meanings in those words shape our understanding and our outlook. Really, it does. I have had the experience of not using any Arabic language terms at all period in my life. And then I've had the experience of incorporating these terms in my life, whether it's Assalamu alaikum, or whether it's a Yarhamukallah, or whether it's the Basmala to say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And you begin to say MashaAllah. You know, you begin to see the difference. Alhamdulillah, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Most of the stuff is rooted in the Quran. And so we use these terms for specific situations and reasons. And I've had the opportunity of seeing within my own life what it means not to use these types of terms, and then to use them, and then to also retreat from using them in my experience in dealing with the non-Muslims. And you see the difference. Sometimes you want to say, MashaAllah. And it's like in that relationship that you have with that non-Muslim, there's not an understanding of what that means. So you would have to explain. And so you feel the distance in the gap. Or you encounter someone and you want to give that greeting, which is commanded by the Quran, the Assalamu alaikum. And then you realize there's no relationship between you. And so with time, you find yourself that those terms are not really in your life. And you see the difference that it has on your heart and your outlook and so on and so forth. Some of us, we use those terms with routine. But when we have an understanding of what those terms mean, they're transformative. They change our astaghfirullah. You know, when you do something wrong, or when you see something wrong, you know, or for instance, you say subhanallah, you know, there's the subhanallah understanding is meaning it gives you a completely different understanding. It shapes your outlook. It shapes your understanding. And so without the language of the Quran, really, in a lot of ways, a lot of what we do on a daily basis, it doesn't have the proper orientation. And so the more that we learn the Quran, the more that we become familiar with it, the more that we're transformed. And I'll end with saying this. I remember the Ramadan in Cleveland, Ohio, when I was at Masjid Uqba. They had one of the best reciters in that region reciting at that time. And I remember not understanding anything of the Quran at all. But I also remember that my heart was able to feel. And I was on a journey of trying to understand the Quran. I didn't have necessarily a full-blown beginner's Arabic class to go to, but I tried to learn from here and there. And so I remember that I can feel the Quran, but I was so distant and frustrated because I didn't understand the meanings. And I told myself during that time, I can't maintain in this deen, in this religion, being ignorant of what's going on. You know, and especially in that masjid, there were a lot of Arabic speakers. They had some familiarity with the language. And that's not to say that all of the Arabs understand the Arabic language, because it's not true. There's a lot of them that they understand slang. They don't necessarily understand 100% the language of the Quran, but they're in a better shape to be more close to the meanings than those who don't understand anything at all. But I remember what it was like to be in that salah line, and you can see the people, their expression when a particular part of the Quran came about. You can feel it. You can see that they would cry, or you can see how they responded. And I remember not having that access, and from there I had committed to at least learn something of the Arabic language. And when I compare so many years later to that time period, there's a massive difference in being able to understand the foundations of the meanings of the Quran and so on and so forth. And so we, you know, in our community, we don't realize what we're doing by being distant from the Arabic language. We are basically going the route of the people of the book that became distant from their book, relying on translations, having no real connection. And so you guys are and gals really are on the frontier, on the front line, so to speak, of preserving the relationship that the Ummah has with the Quran. But we encourage you, don't just stay at this level, right? Continue on. And why are you at the front lines? Because you broke through that first tier of pure ignorance of the Arabic language. And now you have some foundational, relationship with the Arabic language that gives you access to the vocabulary of the Quran. And like it was mentioned by Dr. Arif, that this Ramadan, you may find it to be a little different with your listening. You may find more of a relationship, right? And so that gives you a responsibility to keep going, to put your money and your time and your effort. It doesn't take much to sacrifice time if that is our objective to understand the Quran. If we take 2 years of our lives, if we take and we spend thousands of dollars, it will never be the same after the fact, after learning the Arabic language, your relationship with the Quran and your relationship to the Deen. And most Muslims have to learn how to make those types of sacrifices. In this type of program, there's a facilitation where, the access is being given to these types of studies in a way where you don't have to make so much of a big sacrifice other than to come. But it doesn't end there. You have to have that mindset that I'll continue on the journey. And again, that's important for the Muslim that wants to have a solid relationship with the Quran and wants to have a proper understanding. The other day, someone was put up a picture of the Quran, the Mus'haf that was basically in hand, and they were pointing out some mistakes that were made. And the mistakes were extremely obvious to anyone that knows the Arabic language, right? There were grammatical mistakes that were made. And that edition of the Mus'haf was printed in the Indian subcontinent, you could tell from the writing. And so unfortunately that happens. People are not aware, of the situation, but when these types of mistakes happen in printing or whatever, for the most part, they don't happen but you find periodically somebody may have printed and they may not have done proofreading. And so it becomes essential for us to be able to protect our understanding and our relationship to the Quran, to be able to have that knowledge which allows us to see clearly this is problematic, right? But if we have no relationship to the Arabic language, that type of thing, we're just going through the flow. We may know that there's something wrong, but we're not really clear on what's going on, and we really can't identify the issue. So how is it then that we can keep, that position that the Quran is unique and unaltered if we have no access to it? To say that the Quran is unique and unaltered in its revelation as it was before, we have to really have a relationship with it. And part of having that relationship is having that understanding of the Arabic language. And in order to be able to have that knowledge spread in the Ummah, you have to have students studying the Arabic language. Majority of the Muslims have no understanding of the Arabic language. And that means majority of the Muslims don't have direct access to the Quran as it was revealed. And that is extremely problematic. So as Imam Ibn Taymiyyah said that, learning the Arabic language is an obligation. He also said that those that continue on the path of knowledge, that those that initiate the path of knowledge, they're obligated to continue. It may seem like a burden. It may seem like a heavy responsibility, but anybody in today's time knows that to build a career, you have to make sacrifices and so on and so forth. And so the same thing is to be said about your own identity as a Muslim. There have to be some sacrifices that are made in order to build that identity. And the best thing that you can ever do for yourself, as a Muslim, is to invest in the learning of the Arabic language. It will transform your relationship with the Quran. It will transform your understanding of it, and it will transform your understanding of Islam, and it will help you tremendously. That privilege is not given to anyone except that the people that wanted to sacrifice and made an effort to sacrifice in the path of learning the Arabic language. And with that, we end and we ask Allah Ta'ala to facilitate and to make things easy. I have to excuse myself because I have a meeting, but I wish that that you all continue, and I congratulate you on this effort. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan, Shaykh. So alhamdulillah, I remember the moment where there have been many moments, and I pray that you all have had moments where the studies and the effort and the energy that you put in to your studies kind of pays off with something hitting you from the Quran. There are two such instances that continue to be, something that hits me. The first of which was, I remember I was teaching, and I was teaching at this time, this was years after my initial studies of Arabic, and I was teaching a group of students like yourselves. It was a weekend intensive, and the Imam, we broke for Salah, and the Imam in the Salah, he recited Surah Furqan. And so I encourage all of you, I've done this with my students in my class, if you go to Surah Furqan, the Furqan means the distinguisher, right? The Quran is Al-Furqan, right? That's one of the titles of the Quran, that is Al-Furqan. It's the distinguisher between good and evil, and so on and so forth. But really that surah, there could not be a better surah to be the distinguisher between truth and falsehood. Because if you look at that surah, at the end of the ayat, not only do they rhyme in sound, they rhyme in sound, but the overwhelming majority of the last words of every single ayah of Surah Al-Furqan, just the first few weeks of this class, you can appreciate this, which is that every single ayah, if you look at Surah Al-Furqan, they end, not only do they rhyme, rhyming is easy. If you look at rappers and the musicians and stuff like that, they can rhyme, right? But the Quran not only rhymes, but the end words were matching in their grammatical state. They're all indefinite, nakira, and they were all mansub, right? And so all of them were nakira with the exception of one, which is ma'ruf or ma'rifa. And so not only did they rhyme, and there's a flow to the recitation, which was beautiful, but the grammar itself opened up to me. And I couldn't help, I felt like goosebumps, and when you're studying Arabic or teaching Arabic, and I encourage every single one of you, you all have the permission to teach whatever you learn from the Arabic language, teach it to your families, your friends, whomever you want. You have our full blessing, all right? The continual process of learning and teaching, it'll continue to open up veils of the Arabic language. There are many experiences that I continue to have with regards to the Quran and the Arabic language. But I really wanted to kind of open up to all of you, as I said earlier. I wanted to open up to all of you. If you had any thoughts, reflections, experiences during your class, this is your opportunity to share, inshallah. If you look at the top right corner of your screen, there should be 3 dots and it says more. And you should have an option to raise your hand. So if you raise your hand, we can open up your mic, inshallah, and then you can share your experiences. So please, we would love to hear from you all, inshallah. We have Saad here, mashallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I really want to thank you for all the efforts. Our Ustad Arif Hussain, may Allah accept from you and all your efforts, preserve you and bless your family. MashaAllah, you've been a great teacher, really challenged all of us, and you've always made yourself available to answer any questions. And inshallah, I hope to continue learning from you. As far as the class, I always wanted to learn Arabic and kind of have a better understanding on how to increase my connection with the Quran. This class gave me that unique opportunity, especially to learn the fundamentals, from scratch. And I found out Arabic is like such a deep and rich language, and even have more appreciation for it, especially the scholars who have studied it and teach it. Also, I enjoyed learning with all my classmates, and inshallah, I hope to see them in future classes. May Allah accept from all of us and make this as a means to get closer to Him. Jazakallah khair.
Barakallahu feekum, Saad. Thank you for the kind words. May Allah accept it from you. Alhamdulillah, whenever we see our students coming enthusiastically it brings life to us, because as I said earlier, you know, mashallah, and Sister Maryam will testify to this, I'm sure, as well, that, you know, this is really, you know, Allah has blessed us that we have other opportunities of our professions. Sister Maryam is a professor, myself, I'm a physician. But when we have the opportunity to spend the evenings with you all, just to share whatever we learned from the Quran, which is our passion and our love, when we see that sharing and that mutual affection for the Quran and for the Arabic language, it brings a tremendous amount of love for us, and it encourages us to continue to go on. So we appreciate it, and you were always one of those students, along with everyone else. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. We have here brother Bilal. Here we go. Bilal, you should have the opportunity.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah, you know, I was a little bit skeptical of trying to learn Arabic given my advanced age and hair loss. But, you know, I was thinking that it's unlikely I will learn anything and more importantly, retain anything. So I reluctantly joined the class at the arm twisting of my younger but much bigger brother. And you know, he convinced me to take this class. And I have to say that, you know, not only was I, alhamdulillah, surprised to learn that I learned quite a few things, that importantly, I was able to retain a lot of that. And, you know, in the beginning of the class, I really didn't think I would try to go beyond level 1. But going through it, even though I didn't have as much time as I wanted to practice and do you know, more learning at home, it definitely motivated me, and you know, I look forward to taking the next level of this class, inshallah, if it's available. But you know, I think all of that is just a testament to the effort that the teachers have put into the class and the material, the consistency of you know, doing this class every week, even though you all have, you know, other duties, small children, and a full-time job, mashallah. The fact that you know, you kept up with it, Dr. Arif, you know, is just it was inspiring, and it made myself want to work harder too. So, you know, Jazakallah khair for all your efforts. You know, we can't really thank you enough. Inshallah, we can just do du'as that Allah rewards you for these hours of your youth that you are taking to teach us older people. But Jazakallah khair, and like Brother Saad said, you know, may Allah bless you and make this a source of sadaqah jariyah for you and your family and your little kids that don't get enough of your time. So,
Wa alaikum salam, jazakallahu khairan. We have Sister Jamila. I will open it up, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Yeah, I just want to say that my experience with the Arabic language and with the Quran, of course, is such a blessing because I'm a revert to Islam. I'm not sure if everyone knows that. Alhamdulillah, I became a Muslim in 1996. Alhamdulillah, and towards the end of my first year becoming Muslim, I took an Arabic 101 class at UIC when I was in my last year there. And the Arabic 101, mashallah, just took me to, you know, just the level of learning the alif, ba, ta, and trying to recognize the letters from the different shapes, and then trying to put them together and read certain basic words in Arabic. And then I was introduced to Ikna through my marriage with my husband, Harun Yusuf. And then I learned a lot more of, you know, just learning about the Quran, but really did not really take an Arabic class with Ikna at that time. So then throughout the years, I've discovered the Bayina, you know, with Arabic with Husna. So I tried that too. We subscribed with Arabic with Husna. I tried to really like follow his class, but with the whole business of the family, and I wasn't very consistent. With attending the classes, because it's not a set time, right? You have to like do it on your own schedule and whatnot. So and then I wanted to have a face-to-face teacher for Quranic Arabic. And when I found out about this, and I told my husband I really want to sign up, and then when Alhamdulillah level 1, and I told Maria, my teacher, this, that it was really like, I was really happy that I can actually have a face-to-face with a teacher. And even if it's nighttime, and I think I was the farthest that was driving every Tuesday night, alhamdulillah. And even that I didn't mind, because I really wanted to take this class. And alhamdulillah, although it's harder to learn now because of the older age, like how one of the brothers shared as well, but I mean, I kind of took it as a challenge, that the memory retention is not as strong as when I was younger. But inshallah, with the help of you guys, Mariam, and she said she's still available with us even if we're done with the class, that I do pray that inshallah I get to continue learning it. I really enjoyed it. I really loved learning about the verbs, verb conjugation, the past tense, the present tense, and the future. There's like keywords to know if these verbs are past, present, or future. And I think that's really going to help a lot in building up the vocabulary and understanding of the Quran, inshallah. So I'm very happy with that. It was sad. I was sad that we kind of didn't finish everything because of the virus, but it's okay. We did what we can, even with Zoom, alhamdulillah. By Allah's will, inshallah, keep us in your du'as, and we will keep you guys, teachers, in our du'as, that inshallah you guys will be sadaqah jariyah for us. And then pray for us that we continue to learn it, inshallah, and hopefully carry on and teach our kids and other friends as well, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.
Inshallah, ameen, ameen. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah reward you and your family, mashallah. We have we'll take one more here, inshallah. We have Sister Samana. She wrote here. She says, Jazakallahu khairan to my teacher, Sister Maryam, and to ILF for organizing the excellent class. I hope that, inshallah, you will continue to offer this at advancing levels. She has a question here for Sister Maryam. Is it worth studying modern standard Arabic and conversational Arabic to better understand Quranic Arabic? Sister Maryam, inshallah, if you'd like to answer that question.
Assalamu alaikum. So as far as modern standard Arabic, conversational Arabic goes, I don't think it's not beneficial to study that, but Quranic Arabic is a little different. Those will help you in conversation and reading texts that are not the Quran, but so there's nothing wrong with studying those. But Quranic Arabic is special in that it will help you understand the Quran. I don't know. That's my answer, Dr. Arif. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, that's excellent, mashallah. The only thing I would add is just like conversational Arabic is actually really helpful because it helps build vocabulary. In modern standard Arabic, there's a lot of, there's the modern standard Arabic has a lot of the traditional Fusha Arabic there too. So vocabulary development, that's definitely one of the areas where you can benefit with that, inshallah. Looks like we have another hand raised. Let me pull it up here. Allowed to talk. All right. It just says MN. Can you introduce yourself, MN?
This is Malik Nahas, Sister Raghad's son.
MashaAllah.
كيف الحال?
بخير الحمد لله.
I just wanted to talk about my mom and how she's her dedication, and not only her dedication to Arabic, she's been learning for several years now, but she talked about the dedication of your dedication as the teacher and of her peers in her class and of the other teachers at ICNA. But that's just been like a dream of hers that she's been wanting to learn for so long. And not only did she inspire, her dedication has inspired so many people, but she even but inspired me also to like learn more about the Quran. And eventually I decided to do a whole year of Islamic studies in Arabic at Qadam. So I'm proud of her, proud of all you guys at ICNA, mashallah, and just the dedication that she's been showing me through her WhatsApp chats with Dr. Arif and with the class. So it's just an amazing thing to be on the opposite end of the receiving end of all this, inshallah.
Malik, mashallah, inshallah you're coming back to teach the next classes, our advanced classes, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum, bro. Inshallah. Are you back in Chicago or you're in Dallas?
Yeah, I'm doing online right now.
Allah make it easy for you, bro. It's good to hear from you. Barakallahu
Alaikum salam.
feekum. Salam. Sorry about that. So inshallah ta'ala, honestly, we missed our opportunities. We miss every year that we come to an end. The teachers, we all truly love, our time that we spent with you. We will miss all of you, inshallah ta'ala. Hopefully we'll have opportunities to learn together and study together in the future. I'm sure all of us can kind of, think of moments where our studies really kind of paid off. And if we haven't really experienced it as much, inshallah, it's going to be a process. I remember that, when I was studying Arabic, I think it was about 3 months in, I was studying full time at the time. I was blessed with that opportunity. I had my first dream in Arabic. I was completely speaking in Arabic and everything. And I was like, yes, I reached that moment. MashaAllah, I've never had that experience again. But alhamdulillah, may Allah Ta'ala continue to enrich our lives with this language and with our connection with the book of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. As you know, with the coronavirus and everything, it kind of gave us a setback as far as our ability to raise funds. Those of you who have not had the opportunity to, give tuition, as I said, we're volunteers. Everything that we ask as far as tuition and donation goes towards the operation of Islamic Learning Foundation to continue to expand what we're trying to do. We were going to launch and initiate an Islamic seminary this upcoming academic year, but because of the virus, unfortunately, we had to hold that off. But we have a plan to build an online academy and the infrastructure that's required for that. We need the support, inshallah, from you, our students, from your family members. So this link that we have here, ignishchicago.org/ILF2020, if you haven't had the opportunity to pay your tuition, we didn't want this to be something where we're like badgering anyone to pay tuition. We want this to be like a home family learning institute. So if you have the opportunity, we trust that you'll take that opportunity. Even if you pay tuition, we ask you to continue to give your support. If you want to hold until the month of Ramadan, that's perfectly acceptable. We ask and encourage you to share this link with your friends and family so that we can continue to grow and expand our learning opportunities, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. So without further ado, we will move to the main event, which is our our virtual presentation of the certificates, inshallah ta'ala. So Amir, you can, if you don't mind, sharing your screen, and then I will share my screen. And Sister Maryam, inshallah ta'ala, we will have you present your class first, inshallah. So let's get this, let's see if I can figure this bad boy out. Okay, so here we go. So usually we have a nice big dinner and we have, a formal presentation of the certificates. We just have these in digital form, but we will mail them to your residence, inshallah ta'ala. So without further ado, inshallah, Sister Maryam, inshallah ta'ala, I'll go slowly down as you announce the names of the graduates from the level.
All right. So I just want to congratulate the whole class. Some people started out initially but couldn't make it to the end, but however far you got, that's still better than where we started from. So we'll start from Sister Denisa. I'm not sure if she's on the call right now, actually.
Okay.
But I do still want to say congrats to her, mashallah. She actually is a nurse, and right now she's working on the front lines, so that could be a reason why she's not here today. But mashallah, she was really dedicated. She would come to the classes and everything. So
Allah protect her and her family, inshallah. Yeah, we'll definitely send this recording to all the students, inshallah. It'll probably be up on Facebook as well, inshallah.
All right, and congratulations to Halima. she also did a great job, mashallah. May Allah keep you on this journey. Keep going. And then next up, Sister Jamila, you guys heard her. Mashallah, really, really dedicated. She would ask questions. She would like WhatsApp me questions all the time. So I know that she's working on the homework and working on doing extra. May Allah keep you consistent and accept it from you. Sister Jenna, mashallah, also did an amazing job. Congratulations. Khadija and her mom, Sister Samana, both, mashallah, congratulations to both of you. Khadija was our youngest student, and she was taking this class in place of her Arabic class at IFS, so I hope you found it beneficial.
Mashallah. This is the entire clan, the Mujahid clan.
Sister Selma, mashallah, congratulations to her too. All, like half of my class are made up of moms with little kids, so it takes a lot of dedication, so congrats to you all, mashallah. Sister Samana, you too, mashallah, congratulations.
Inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan, inshallah. So all of you, mashallah, did an awesome job. Hopefully we'll see you with in the next levels, inshallah, to join us, inshallah ta'ala. Now we have, move on to the next group, inshallah. So this is also our level 1 class. So we have a level 1 and a level 2 class, inshallah. So we'll have our next level 1 class, and then we'll conclude with our level 2 class. So we have here Brother Bilal Mujahid. I call him Bilal Bhai. I've had the blessing and opportunity to know him and his family since I was very young, mashallah. He used to pick on me and bully me. No, I'm just kidding. But he did pick on me and bully me in class, but that's a different story. And like Sister Maryam said, this, mashallah, this entire family essentially joined us in our studies, and may Allah make this a source of blessing for their entire family, mashallah. We had Mr. Hamdan Khan, mashallah. He was the quiet assassin, as I call him. He was always quiet, sitting in the last row of the class, even though there's only 2 rows. So even though there was like 2 rows, the first row was completely empty, he would sit in the back row. And I could barely hear him because he's so quiet, mashallah. But hopefully, but if you hear him recite, because he's hafiz the Quran, his shyness goes completely away with the book of Allah Ta'ala. He has one of the most beautiful voices, mashallah. So it's wonderful. We have Musab Khan, mashallah. Musab, he was always the source of entertainment for us. I picked on him a little bit, but he was always challenging, mashallah ta'ala, always challenging me because he's had a number of years of experience with learning Arabic before. So he brought that experience with him, and it benefited us, mashallah, quite a bit. And then I spoke about Umair Mujahid before, mashallah. This is the son of Salman Yasser Mujahid, our director of Islamic Learning Foundation. Mashallah, another clan that continues to hopefully be blessed by inshallah because of the efforts that they give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah. Saad, you guys heard from him earlier. Saad is our leader from Al-Maghrib Institute, mashallah, causing trouble with the Qabilat Wasat, mashallah, tabarakallah. We had an absolute joy sitting with him, inshallah ta'ala, in this class. And then we have Sister Sadia Yusuf, mashallah. She was our only sister in our class, the wife of Zain Hussein, and she's an optometrist, and she continued to outshine her husband every chance she got. And sorry, Zain, I had to call you out on that, inshallah. And last but not least, Mr. Zain Hussein, no relationship to Arif Hussein, except brotherly love from YM and Islamic Learning Foundation. But it was an absolute pleasure to have one of my close friends, in the class, even though half the time he was working because he was on call with his job. But Allah bless you, man. So that was our level 1 students. And we have now our level, excuse me, level 2 students. Alhamdulillah, we had Dr. Akbar Khalid. He, subhanAllah, he hadn't taken our level 1 class. He had studied Arabic for a number of years at other institutions. I believe it was IAE. So I was absolutely nervous to teach him because I knew that he knew more than me probably, and he did demonstrate that. But like I said, it was like these students, they always challenged us to try to be our best self, to do the work that we needed to do, to present the knowledge as best we can. And Dr. Akbar, he's an emergency physician, also on the front lines. May Allah Ta'ala preserve him and protect him and his family. You know, despite his, you know, his work schedule and everything, he had the opportunity to join us, and it was an absolute pleasure. We have Sister Maria Mujahid, mashallah. She is the oldest, older sister in the Mujahid family, Bilal's daughter. Mashallah, you know, a very intelligent young student. She always came through to pick on her cousin, Omer Mujahid, whenever we had the opportunity. Whenever he was studying in the other room. Mashallah, tabarakallah, she stuck with us for, you know, 2 semesters, two levels, despite her college, being a freshman in college and having to deal with the stresses that entails. And you heard from Malik, the son of Sister Ragad. Malik, mashallah, is a representation of the family, the Nahas family. You know, he's a Hafiz al-Quran, or he's a student at Qalam Institute as well. He has one of the most beautiful voices, mashallah ta'ala. If you want to hear him recite, it would be a true honor to hear him recite. But this is really just a representation of the family. May Allah ta'ala bless you all. And then Sister Tagrid, who probably to this day, I still haven't pronounced her name properly, and she makes a note of it, also humbling me in my ability to speak Arabic. But Sister Tagrid, she always had, I'm not sure if she's on this, I haven't taken a look at the group, I'm not sure if she's on this call, I hope she is, but she always she was a little bit, she kind of doubted herself a little bit. But here she is completing level 2, and she did an excellent job. And I would always challenge her because she felt a little bit of sense of uneasiness, and she would doubt herself. And the reality was that she had the knowledge. She just needed to take a moment to really kind of reflect. And she realized that she knew when I asked her a question, she knew the answer. But she just needed to kind of, find that within herself. May Allah bless her, inshallah ta'ala, and her family. And then we have Senor Yusuf Khan, who would always be eating some type of junk food in our class. He is the son of my first murabbi, who I consider my first murabbi, Wasif Khan. And it's crazy. You really feel your age and your elderliness when you're teaching the son of your murabbi. And Yusuf, mashallah, being a young high school student, I feel confident in saying that inshallah, we have somebody here who can replace us as a teacher. And all of you as students, our goals as teacher is not to say, we're the teacher, you're the student, and stay below. No. Our goal is to have someone replace us. And I'm confident that all of you have the ability to replace us. And that, at the end of the day, is a true success. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless you all and your families, inshallah ta'ala. So without further ado, I would like to, any other thoughts, reflections before I close up shop over here? Any thoughts, reflections? Any questions or concerns? Please, I ask all of you to follow us on Facebook, ILF Chicago or ILF Shy. Follow us on YouTube. Attend our website regularly, iknachicago.org/ILF. And inshallah, we have a lot of projects and programs coming up, and we would like all of you. We also have an Instagram account, ILF Shy. So please continue to follow us. Of course, we're going to keep the WhatsApp groups alive so that if anything comes up, I hope you don't mind. We don't mean to spam you, but we feel like you're a part of our family now. And so we would love for you to join us in future events, inshallah ta'ala. We may reach out, even though we probably have it in the registration files, your at-home addresses. If they have changed, please let us know so that this way we can make sure we get the certificate to the right location. We will confirm your addresses before we send them out, inshallah. So without further, if there's no other thoughts or reflections, I'll just wait a moment to see if there's any other hands raised. Inshallah, I'm really sad that we didn't have the opportunity. We usually have dinner together and we have an entire event and you invite all your families to join us, and we usually have a really fun time together, and it is really a joyous occasion. given our circumstances, this is the best we can do. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma taqabbal minna innaka anta as-sami'ul alim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin was-salatu was-salamu ala rasulil amin. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث، أصلح لنا أمورنا ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين. ربنا اغفر لنا ولوالدينا وللمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع مجيب الدعوات. اللهم زدنا علما، اللهم زدنا علما نافعا، اللهم زدنا علما نافعا. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وأنت خير الراحمين. وصلى اللهم على نبينا محمد وبارك وسلم. Inshallah, keep us in your dua. Stay safe. May Allah Ta'ala bless you and your families. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.